You see, when Microsoft probably made the decision that they were going to be pretty much move their gaming to Windows, or at least integrate Windows in a larger part into their gaming, a lot of people really think that they didn't think it through. You know, you think the $4 trillion company just woke up, barely brushed their teeth, and, decided that they were going to go to Windows. They knew and they saw exactly what it is that they had. Every single gaming company that has made a game on PC, in many cases, right, already pretty much thought about the Windows ecosystem. I'm not saying that they put their games on a Windows ecosystem. I'm saying they thought about it. And then I don't know what developer uses PC to make games, right? And I'm talking about serious development that's not using Windows as its bed, its base. PlayStation, Nintendo, all of these companies, the tools to make games, they're on Windows, aka Maya, 3D software, Blender for indie, Unreal Engine, Unity, Decima, call the engine Anvil, Snowdrop. If you watch documentaries from these studios, oh, we did this on our video game, blah, 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 and then they show you something in the engine, look on the bottom and see the taskbar is a Windows taskbar. Pay close attention. In fact, go watch any PlayStation documentary where you can get a glimpse of what they're doing in that particular game, right? For instance, the documentary about Kratos, the God of War making of that game, you're going to see that even PlayStation was over there pretty much, working on Windows to actually make the game. So for those people who probably think that, Xbox and Phil Spencer and the crew just kind of jumped out and said, oh, you know what, let's just go, and they just basically are going to wing it, you probably didn't think that through. It's you who we have to actually ask and say, did you think it through? Like before y'all started talking about all of this stuff like, oh, it's Windows and Windows, blah, blah, blah. They understood exactly what they had. And they were like, bro, if we're not going to sell closed ecosystems to the tune of, all this money that we're pretty much trying to put together, we might as well go ahead and just, in a sense, pivot to the open ecosystem. They tried it out with software. It worked out for them. They're trying it out now with hardware. It's still working out for them. You can't necessarily go wrong in an ecosystem that's already available, ubiquitous, and everybody's already using it. Quick, easy deployment. Simple. So again, I'm laughing now because having used Bazite, used Fedora desktop to play video games, I'm excited that these options are there. But I still end up seeing some really interesting stuff about, folk who talk about, oh, Linux is this, Linux is that. But what people are not necessarily pointing out, ladies and gentlemen, is Linus Tech Tips just did a PC build with the maker of, or I guess I would say the developer of Linux as, it's known and originated. And this is very interesting that people are probably not watching that interview or haven't seen that interview. And a few things were mentioned in that interview. I guarantee you, right? Listen to me, that a lot of the things said in that interview have not necessarily made their way out there. And guess what? You need to pay attention. Abstract Concept, shout out to you. I made a video about this particular thing. And honestly, I got to say, even I myself, I watched this part, but it flew right over my head. It did. Listen to it very carefully. Pay attention.
I start seeing oopses. I start seeing segmentation violations. I'm obviously doing this on a modern Linux kernel that is being developed right now. And my first reaction is, oh no, we have a bug. And I spent days on trying to figure out what the bug was until I just realized, no, it wasn't a bug at all. It was my machine was not reliable.
So for you, this is not a question of, I have to reboot my system because my game crashed.
Correct.
This is a question of, I am working on software that millions of people around the world rely on. I need to know.
Right. I absolutely need to trust my machine. And I mean, it's a big thing, and I'm convinced that all the jokes about how unstable Windows is and blue screening, I guess it's not a blue screen anymore, a big percentage of those were not actually software bugs. A big percentage of those are hardware being not reliable. And I mean, in the gaming community,
Are you guys hearing that? Are you guys hearing that? Because I gotta tell you, sometimes I've been looking at my computer and going, it'll be doing some really weird stuff, right? Now, I'm hardware savvy in this particular area. My computers, they're fun. But when they start acting a fool, because some piece will act a fool, something will act a fool, it's a lot of the hardware. It's just so weird. Like, you buy a motherboard, and again, if you're doing production, and this is not even gaming, like for instance, I have this motherboard on this PC that I'm actually making this video on. It's got multiple PCIe slots. I had to dig and dig and dig and dig and figure out why my Elgato capture card would not work in this thing. I have a regular Elgato, 1080 HD capture card. I have a 4K capture card, and I'm having all kinds of issues with one of them not working on that slot. But if I put it in a different slot, it won't even work, and it's supposed to work. And I'm like, but my GPU, my fat 4080 is sitting in that slot, and there's nowhere else for you. And I look at these hardware pieces, and I'm like, this is crazy. Elgato made the device, and sometimes Elgato devices could be fun, too, to deal with. MSI made the motherboard, and then their motherboard could also be fun to deal with, too. Compatibility in some aspects are probably not working. And still, Windows has had to carry all this load and all this burden to get gaming to where it is at this moment in time, even to the point now where we got to see that the person who made Linus Torvalds, is saying that he believes that majority of the issues that you're seeing, that you see with blue screen and all this stuff with Windows, is hardware instability. And in manufacturing a bunch of this stuff, some of the manufacturers may not have good quality control. People usually say it's because of different hardware configuration. No, it's because of quality control. Because think about it. It's a very select number of, say, companies that would make things like, I don't know, maybe RAM or maybe, chips or whatever it is. I mean, it's not really that, far off. Hynix would make a bunch of the, RAM or whatever it is, and some other companies here and there. And they'll just basically make for everybody who wants pretty much the package, right? And so that's something that you're seeing over here. But it's funny, though, that you see titles like, Bazzite is going to destroy Windows and blah, 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 blah. But then many people not necessarily realizing don't know that for Linux to be able to play majority of the games that it plays, actually like 99% of the games that it plays, it has to imitate Windows. It literally needs a translation layer that pretends that it's Windows to actually support those games. So if, Linux was going to pretty much go ahead and take over or do this, why would it have to imitate Windows to do it? That's where the fun part is. That's where the fundamental question is. And so we have to be honest with ourselves that this is a ginormous juggernaut, and we have to drive away console wardom far away from this conversation so that we can actually get a sense of what's going on. Because in reality, ladies and gentlemen, Windows presents a dominant factor and a dominant force in this particular conversation. And believe you me, if they go leverage it for gaming, it would take giants like Steam and even other publishers to be able to push them back. But how far back can they push them if they're not friendly? Thankfully, at this moment in time, they're friendly, and they've allowed for everybody to come and roost and enjoy and make money on their operating system. But now you see exactly how Microsoft's business usually goes, right? Their business is always the long game. When they were giving away Windows keys, they let you download the operating system on their website, still till date, right? People were saying, how is Microsoft? There are people who are still asking, like, how is Microsoft going to make money from the 100% that Steam is going to get, and they won't get a single dime? Small-mindedness will literally put you in trouble and let big monopolistic companies come and take your lunch because you don't know what being a visionary is. You like to be, and this is what I see. It's so dangerous. Like, it's so dangerous. And even those of you who are like, Team Green, beware. Don't let this company just go crazy. You find yourself alternatives. Spread out your library. Spread out your consortium of gaming gizmo gadgets, the thingies. Just kind of, dust it out there because, you can. Not saying that anything nonsense crazy is going to happen, but you got to be real. They've now basically become the platform to not only just sell games, but games are made on there. All their competitors make their games on their own operating system. That's crazy. That right there is madness. Do you understand the madness there? So when they're playing the long game and they're giving away free Microsoft Office to students, or they're giving away their operating system with like, oh yeah, you can use it, you just can't change the wallpaper. They're playing a long game, a game where the end of it is something that, the regular person is unable to see. This is why PlayStation literally, once they bought Activision Blizzard King, the entire picture did this. It literally drew closer, and everybody that was, maybe looking over, like, say, here, immediately saw it and said, oh, crap, we're cooked. Microsoft wants to basically go ahead and do all of these things. You see, all the while, it was all the way here, so it was far for people to see it. But the moment they bought Activision Blizzard King, it magnified exactly what it is that they were going for. And that is to be a gaming giant. And then now they're going to put that game, the game is everywhere. It's on Windows, the biggest gaming platform that you have out there, broken up into all sorts and all manner of whatever. Steam has it. Battle.net, which belongs to Xbox, has it, right? Battle.net has it. The Windows, the Xbox Store, Battle.net, the Xbox Store has it as well. And now the game is bigger than it ever was, simply because their grand vision is now that thing. So you're making your game on Windows. They want to pretty much go ahead and remove any obstacle that you may face. You're making your game on Windows. They're like, oh yeah, they're going to remove any kind of friction, and it's going to be too easy for you to publish that game. So yeah, Linux is cool and stuff, but let's not delude ourselves. It's nice to have a backup. It's nice to have the option. Community, open source, and all that. But don't let anti-Microsofters and anti-Xboxers fool you into thinking that somewhere, somehow. Understand and realize that Xbox and Microsoft, with the help of Microsoft, has absolutely pushed PlayStation into irrelevance. You don't want to take the message right now. I see these PlayStation fanboys, they lose their minds when you say it. It's the absolute truth, because when you ask them to actually go back and counter, they can't counter. They start insulting you. They start throwing and hurling shade. It's simply because they understand how ginormous and the weight of this. Some of them would even tell you Xbox is dead, and then turn around and tell you in the very same breath that Xbox is about to destroy the entire gaming market. Because why? They're lying, but the truth sometimes has to actually beat. It's like this big tussle. The truth beats on the lie in their brains, and then it just blurts out. And then they go back to the line, and the truth blurts out. And that's what you're seeing right now. And so again, don't, you know what? I think I've warned enough. But you know what? Let people do what they want to do. We're just going to sit back here, and we're going to figure out, that a lot of these folk are just basically lying to you. Thanks for watching. Peace out.